Hi everyone, and welcome to the Hands Together webinar series. My name is Marta Mattarucco, and I represent ISRA in Italy. Today's focus will be on intergenerational learning for people with early signs of dementia. Topic overview. In this webinar, we will explore the intersection of intergenerational learning and dementia, providing good practices and practical examples. We will talk about the importance of intergenerational learning, the different age groups involved in the activities, and finally, we will provide some examples of activities. We hope you will enjoy it. Let's start. The benefits of intergenerational exchange with people with dementia. A diagnosis of dementia is accompanied by a range of losses. Perhaps one of the most significant being the loss of relational and social roles. People with dementia often face social isolation as they experience a loss of relationships and a reduced social role in the community. Intergenerational programs offers a powerful way to enhance the lives of individuals with dementia and create a more inclusive and connected community. It has been shown to benefit the physical, emotional, and social health of older adults, including those living with dementia, and are often positively received by this population. Intergenerational relationships are social intervention with enormous potential for achieving the social inclusion of older adults with dementia. But which are the main benefits of these activities? Let's look at them together. The main benefits for people with dementia are reduced loneliness and isolation, increased engagement, improved cognitive function, enhanced emotional well-being, reduced behavioral issues, preservation of cultural heritage. Benefits for younger generation are development of empathy and understanding, sense of purpose and social connection, appreciation for aging and diverse experiences, learn more about dementia. Given the overall positive outcomes for most participants, social workers and other clinicians and/or educators can consider whether developing an intergenerational program might benefit the people and communities they work with. Eligibility criteria for inclusion in an intergenerational program must consider whether the presence of certain responsive behaviors in participants that can be managed to ensure a safe and supportive environment for all. Why talk about dementia with young people? Talking about dementia with children and teenagers can be complex, but addressing the subject with sincerity and sensitivity helps them to better understand the situation and manage their emotions. Talking about dementia, especially with intergenerational projects, is essential for several key reasons. Promotes empathy and understanding between generations. Combats prejudicial stereotypes and reduces ageisms, strengthens social connections and sense of purpose, promotes shared storytelling and meaningful memories. This short animation was developed as a resource for children between the ages of 8 to 12 years old to better understand dementia. Let's see it together.
You may hear people use lots of different words for dementia. What they mean is that how a person thinks and how their brain works is changing. To think, the brain uses electrical signals like a computer. With dementia, some of those signals get lost along the way. What you might see on the outside is that a person starts to forget things, or say or do things that seem a bit clumsy or odd. They might need more time to do things like getting dressed, eating, or even getting their words out. When someone you care about has dementia, one thing it means is that while we can do things to make them feel happier, their condition won't improve. And the way their brain works will keep on changing over time. So it's natural for you and the adults around you to feel a bit worried or sad. Don't keep it a secret. Talk to an adult you trust. You might find you are worried about something that wasn't even true. For example, dementia isn't like chickenpox. You can't catch it from someone else. And just because someone in your family has it, doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. Most of the time, while the way you talk and play together will probably change, they aren't going to stop caring about you. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to have fun and spend quality time together. Often for someone with dementia, feelings and emotions are more important than words and ideas. They're happiest when they're comfortable and doing things they enjoy, like spending time with you. So think about the things they like to do. Listening to music, looking through photos. Perhaps you could try a simple version of an old hobby, or if they used to read to you, you could read to them instead. Whatever you decide to do together, you and your family probably know more about what makes them happy than anyone else. But even with experts on the case, no one is happy all the time. And there will be days when they just need some personal space. Even if they are a bit grumpy or can't remember your name, it doesn't mean that they've forgotten who you are. It's healthy to laugh at ourselves when we make mistakes, so taking things lightly can help. Try to be as kind and forgiving as you can. Let them know who you are and what it is you are doing. Be gentle with them and reassuring. Sometimes something as simple as a hug can make all the difference. Love is a strong and powerful feeling that goes through your whole body. It's more than just an idea. It was there long before dementia came along, and it's not going anywhere now.
Now, we will see some good practices in intergenerational exchange with people with dementia. Information and purpose. For operators and families, clearly explain the objectives, timing, location, and methods of the activities and how they will be supported. According to best practices, participants are prepared ahead of time, makes the experience more meaningful. For children, use simple words. Explain that dementia is a disease that affects the brain, making it difficult to remember, think clearly, or recognize people, and tell them that experiencing feeling of sadness, confusion, and anger is normal. Add something like, "We will play a game together to have fun." But be aware that some of the older adults can have some difficulty remember certain things. For teenagers, organize a short introductory workshop to explain to them the signs of dementia, the emotional reactions of those involved, and the difference between behavior related to the disease and voluntary actions. With teenagers, you can also go into more detail by explaining that dementia damages brain cells affecting memory and behavior. Listening and answering questions. Encourage questions. Invite children to express their doubts or curiosity. Respond honestly using language that is understandable for their age. Reassure them about their feelings. Let them know that it's normal to feel sad, confused, or angry. Provide a safe space for them to share their emotion without judgment. Role and rules. Explain the roles and the rules clearly before starting the activity. Dealing with changes in behavior during the activity. Explain unusual behavior. If the person with dementia forgets names or behaves strangely, explain that this is caused by the disease, not a lack of affection. Share concrete examples. You can say, sometimes grandma may not recognize as right as always. She still loves us. Her brain just needs more time to remember. Logistics and environment. Adapting spaces, accessible tables, stable chairs, simple tools, including Montessori style sequential activities with small objects. Safety, ensure clear paths, safe equipment, non toxic materials. Feedback and reflection. At the end of each meeting, gather brief impressions. What did you like? What can we improve? Using open ended questions for children and adults. Maintain continuity in your intergenerational meetings. The impact grows over time with regular meetings, fostering authentic bonds. Thank you. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Gloria Corazza that will address the topic of communication.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gloria Corazza, and now together we are going to see some useful advice on how to effectively communicate with people with dementia. Younger people can learn a lot about communication, patience, and empathy when interacting with older people living with dementia, as well as developing their interpersonal skills more generally. It will be helpful before starting the intergenerational activities to give the children or teenager some tips on how to effectively communicate with older adults with early sign of dementia and advise them on the proper behavior to keep. The list you see on the slide is a set of practical communication tips for interacting with people living with dementia. Walk you through each one briefly with a bit of context and explanation. Let's start with mind your tone and pace. One of the most important things is to speak slowly and clearly. People with dementia often need more time to process what's being said, so a calm, steady pace can make a big difference. Also important is to use a warm and friendly tone. Even if the words are simple, your tone can convey reassurance and kindness, or if you're not careful, frustration or impatience. And please remind the children to do not shout. It is a common instinct when someone doesn't respond right away, but shouting can feel aggressive or alarming. Advise them to just repeat themselves gently if it's needed. Another thing to avoid is speaking as if you're talking to a child or a baby. This can be unintentionally patronizing. People with dementia are still adults, and they deserve to be spoken to with respect, even if their communication abilities have changed. Simplify and support understanding. Use short, simple sentences. This helps the person follow what you're saying without getting lost in too much details. If they don't understand, try rephrasing instead of repeating the same words louder. Avoid open-ended questions. Instead of asking, what would you like to do today? Try something like, would you like to go for a walk or sit in the garden? And don't underestimate the power of visual prompts. Pictures, cue card, or even real object can help the person express themselves or make choices. Give time and space. Allow plenty of time for the person to respond. Don't rush to fill in the silence. They may just need those few extra seconds to find the words. And try to not interrupt, even if you think you know what they're trying to say. Let them finish their thoughts. And always finish the conversation with one person before answering another. If they're upset or confused, let them express those feelings. Sometimes the best thing you can do is simply listen and be present. And when they do share something, especially something emotional, validate their experience. Use phrases like, I understand, or that must be hard, to show empathy and to let them know that they are being heard. It is a small gesture, but it can make a big difference. Use nonverbal cues. Make eye contact and make sure you're at their eye level. If the person is sitting, gently lower yourself, crouch or kneel if it's needed, so that you're not towering over them. Your facial expression matter too. Smiling when talking about something pleasant or showing concern when you're upset reinforce your message. Gestures can be very helpful. Pointing, nodding, or demonstrating something physically can support understanding when words aren't enough. Be physically present and respectful. Try to be at their eye level, as said, not standing over them that can feel intimidating. Respect their personal space and always ask before touching. That said, a gentle physical contact, like holding a hand or a light touch on the shoulder, can be very comforting if the person is okay with it. Create a supportive environment. Communication doesn't happen in a vacuum. The environment matters. Try to reduce distraction. If the TV is on or there's too much background noise, it can be very hard for the person to focus. Moving to a quieter space can help them feel more at ease. Also, don't leave things laying around. A cluttered or chaotic space can be confusing or even unsafe. Keep the environment tidy and predictable. That supports both communication and comfort. And finally, make sure the person can see and hear you clearly. Stand or sit in front of them with your face well lit and speak directly to them, not to their caregivers. As final recommendation, don't assume someone's communication ability based on their diagnosis. Dementia affects everyone differently. What works well for one person might not work for another, and what works today may not work tomorrow. The key is to stay flexible, patient, and observant. Try different approaches like gesture, writing, or even using technology. Don't be discouraged if something doesn't work right away. Most importantly, lead with empathy and respect. Your presence, your tone, and your willingness to connect. Those are the most powerful tools that you have. So to sum up, these aren't tips about doing everything perfectly. They are about being present, respectful, and adaptable. Small changes in how we speak and listen can make big difference in how someone with dementia feels and in how we are able to connect with them. Let's move on to another important topic to discuss, that is how to behave with a person with dementia when symptoms appear. When engaging young people in intergenerational activities with older adults living with dementia, it is important to prepare them with clear guidance on how to respond when certain symptoms appear. This may include signs of anxieties or fear, confusion about what they see or hear, restlessness such as pacing, or moments of suspicion or distress. While some may worry that discussing the more challenging aspect of dementia could discourage participation, it is in fact essential to prepare young people for this kind of situation they may encounter. Open and thoughtful preparation helps foster understanding, resilience, and meaningful engagement. Experience has shown that this encounter not only help young people feel more confident and compassionate in complex situations, but also help and play a key role in breaking down the negative stereotypes and taboos that still surround dementia. In fact, many of the young people who have taken part in intergenerational programs in our care homes have returned as volunteers, inspired by the meaningful connection they formed and the valuable insights they gained. So let's see how to respond when dementia symptoms appear. Here are some helpful strategies. Redirect attention gently. If the person seems distressed, suspicious, or agitated, try to shift their focus to a calming activity. This could be listening to music, looking through a photo album, reading together, or even going for a short walk. A change of environment or topic can help ease their discomfort. Create a calm and comfortable environment. Reduce background noise, bright lights, or clutter that might be overwhelming or confusing. A peaceful setting can help the person feel more secure and less anxious. Stay patient and avoid confrontation. If the person says something that isn't true or becomes upset, try not to argue or correct them. Instead, respond with kindness and patience. Showing frustration can increase their distress, while a calm presence can help de-escalate the situation. Offer reassurance and support. Let them know that you are there to help them and that they are safe. Simple, reassuring words and a gentle tone can go a long way in making someone feel understood and less alone. So now let's dig into some practical example of intergenerational activities that can be done as well with people with dementia. The activities that we will explore in this webinar are picture books, building toys together, simulation of the five senses in Snoozler Room, exchange of lessons. Now let's see them all in detail together. Let's start from picture books. The history of modern picture books is relatively short compared to other literary media, though it has evolved upon the tradition of illustrated books for children. The inclusion of similar reading activities into intergenerational programs for children, teenagers, and older adults, also with dementia, has positive outcomes for all parties involved, such as mutual enjoyment, an increase of literacy skill for the children, and an improvement of social interaction and quality of life for the older adults. Concerning the target age of young people, this activity is suitable for children and teenagers of all ages. Concerning the group composition, we advise small groups of 6-8 children and 6-8 older adults per time. The average duration of the activity is 1 hour and a half. The material that you will need for carrying out the activity are simply picture books that tell an enjoyable and evocative story, and pictures or images correlated with the story. Benefits are enhanced well-being, improvements in mood, reduction in disorientation and anxiety, and improvements in self-esteem, memory, and social interaction. The activity is usually carried on in 3 phases. First, choose a familiar story or a folk tale or fairy tale or a story that deals with aspect of daily life, like cooking, sewing, taking care of a child or of an animal. In the first phase, the children or teenager will read the picture books. A picture book with a simple, straightforward storyline, so no abstract metaphor, no literacy devices, a story that uses simple sentence with a little bit of humor and not a lot of text. In the second part of the story of the activity, the older adults and the children will choose some pictures that they can dwell on and talk about. And then at the end, as last phases, please remember to leave some room for the children or teenager and older adults to freely talk between each other. Building toys together. General aim of this activity is to create moments of meeting and dialogue between the older adults and the children in an atmosphere of common well-being. The reason behind the choice of the activity lay in the essential role that play has in these two age groups. Concerning the target age of the young people, we advise to involve younger children at the beginning of the kindergarten or the beginning of the primary school or the end of the kindergarten. But of course, it's not forbidden to involve even older children. Concerning the group composition, once again, we advise small groups of 6-8 children and 6-8 older adults. Concerning duration, these activities usually carried on in 2 meetings, lasting approximately 2 hours each. Materials that you will need are picture of yesteryear's toy, anything that you could use to create old-fashioned toys, such as string, wooden stick, rubber bands, glue, cardboard, tape, straw, scissor, whatever you will need, depending as well on the choice of the toy that you make. There are many benefits of the activities, such as an improvement of the relational and communicational skills of both groups involved, the stimulation of imagination and creativity, as well as stimulation of their attention, concentration, and language function of both their adults and children through the storytelling. It also helps create moment of intergenerational meeting and exchange. It also incentivize the maintenance of residual manual and cognitive skills for the older adults involved. So as said, the activity is usually carried on in 2 sessions. The first is dedicated to listening to story of games of yesteryear, which the older adults will share. The second session consists in a creative workshop in which the children will be able to build toys and play with the old-fashioned, old-time games together with the older adults. Stimulation of the 5 senses in Snoozland Room. Intergenerational activities in a Snoozland Room can create meaningful interaction between different age groups by utilizing the room's sensory elements to facilitate communication and shared experience. These activities can be tailored to specific needs and interests of both children, teenagers, and older adults, promoting relaxation, engagement, and positive social interaction. So concerning the target age, for what has been said that is adaptable, it can be suitable for both children or teenager. Concerning the number of participants, it will depend as well on the size of your Snoozland room. And the average duration of the activity is 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. What you will need for carrying on these activities is a Snoozland room and one facilitator. For those of you who don't know what a Snoozland room is, you can see on the right of the slide some pictures so you can have an idea of what are the sensory elements present inside the Snoozland room, such as cathodic lights or bubble tube and many other. It is important to carry on an intergenerational activity in the Snoozland room because it helps reduce stress. It also improves communication, it boosts memory, it encourages bonding, and it promotes inclusion, all through fun sensory experience like lights, sounds, and touch. For the activity is crucial the role of the facilitator, that is that of creating a safe and welcoming environment with a relaxed and inclusive atmosphere where all participants feel comfortable and respected. There are different activities that can be carried on inside the Snoozland room. Let's see some example. Sensory exploration and relaxation. A facilitator can guide participants through different sensory stations while encouraging them to describe their experience and feelings. Pairing calm music with gentle movement activities. This can create a soothing and enjoyable experience for all. shared memories and reminiscence. Use familiar scents, sound, or image to evoke memories and stories from participants' past, fostering a sense of connection and shared history. Thoughtfully incorporating these activities, snoozer rooms can become vibrant spaces for intergenerational connection, promoting well-being, and fostering a sense of community for all. Let's move on to the last example of intergenerational activities of today, the exchange of lessons. So the encounter between the older adults and the children represents, on the one hand, an opportunity for the younger generation to gain access to lived historical heritage through the testimony of those persons who preserve within themselves the trace of a world that has now disappeared. On the other hand, it offers the older adults a chance to fulfill relational, emotional, and affective needs. Concerning the target age for this activity, it's advisable to involve teenager in high school. Concerning the group composition, these activities perceive a students group and a teacher group that will involve a total of 25, 30 people. And during these activities, teenager and older adults will switch from the role of students and that of teacher. Duration of the activities is usually 3 months with weekly appointment. The materials that you will need are a blackboard or a digital board, papers, and pens. The exchange of lesson foster meaningful intergenerational dialogue. The older adults share life stories and tradition. This enhance memory and their well-being as well, while the younger participants gain empathy, emotional insight, and a deeper understanding of aging. Furthermore, the activity helps ensure that the cultural heritage of the past is not lost, but passed on and kept alive. Building strong intergenerational bonds helps preserve cultural heritage, reduce isolation, and foster a supportive educating community rooted in solidarity. The activity foreseen a first encounter where the high school class will meet the older adults and they will introduce a topic that they will choose, and that will be the main thematic for the activity. The teenager will then sound the older adult's point of view in the matter. Then during the different encounter, there will be some meeting in which the teenager will explain something on the matter, and others in which the older adults will be the teacher explaining their past, the history, and what they know about the topics chosen. So thank you for being with us today, where we discussed the benefits of intergenerational exchange with people with dementia and younger people. We discussed why it is important to talk about dementia with younger people. We gave you some good practices in intergenerational exchange with people with dementia. Then we saw also some good communication tips for effectively communicate with older adults with dementia. We saw also how to behave when dementia symptoms are manifested. We also saw some practical example of intergenerational activities. We leave you here some reference if you'd like to learn more about what we discussed today. We say thank you to all of the Hands Together project partners. Most importantly, we say thank you to you, our audience, for watching the Hands Together webinar series.